report continued. According to Dr. Tibet, his studies are based on publications about the Third Dynasty, one of which states that the Egyptian coin of the time was called a deben and was worth 1/4 of a gram of gold. The coin is mentioned in a letter by a man named Tot Nehet, a royal inspector of the Nile bridges, in a letter to his son. He mentioned leasing lands in return for deben coins and agricultural produce. The reports explain the other texts from the 3rd, 6th, and 12th dynasties also talk about coins. The archaeologists' findings is also based on the fact that the inscribed face bore the name of Egypt, a date, and a value, and while the engraved face bore the name and image in one of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs or gods, or else a symbol connected with these. Another telling fact was that the coins come in different sizes and are made of different materials, including ivory, precious stones, copper, silver, gold, etc., the newspaper reported. The museum's research uncovered 500 of the coins, carelessly stored in boxes. One even had the image of a cow symbolizing Pharaoh's dream about the 7 fat cows and 7 lean cows, and 7 green stalks of grain and 7 dry stalks of grain, the report said. Joseph's name appears twice on this coin, written in hieroglyphics, one with the original name, Joseph, and one with his Egyptian name, Saba Sabini, which was given to him by Pharaoh when he became treasurer. There's also an image of Joseph, who was part of the Egyptian administration at the time, the report said. Now, when any of these new reports come out, they usually sound very good, and a lot of the time they don't pan out. This article gives some good reasons why they believe that these coins are coins and that they're authentic. But this was released by an Egyptian newspaper, as others have noted that's not really where scientific discoveries are really mentioned. It may be one of those cases where a person's trying to fit things together that maybe don't exactly fit, but he's trying to prove something. Of course, as time goes by, we'll find out more about this, because there was a lot of arguments against it. One being they didn't think they used coins in those time periods, and also the fact that there is no set belief by archaeologists or even to an extent Bible scholars as to the time of Joseph, because although the time of Joseph should have been around 1900 BC, because I think there's pretty good evidence to prove that the Exodus was pretty much set in stone at being about 1445 BC, which would put Joseph at like 1900 to 800 BC. But that is not agreed upon, so by science in general. So so this is very interesting, but we'll see if it pans out in the future. In recent news, it has become clear that Iran is now capable of building a nuclear bomb. This, plus the fact that they were trying to hide another nuclear facility, shows us that they probably have no intention of resolving their nuclear program anytime soon. And Iran is even talking about getting nuclear material from other countries. Russia seems dead set against sanctions against Iran, and this will only leave one option if it continues and is not resolved. Military action by Israel and possibly the U.S. This could be the spark that leads us to the next World War, or at the very least a period of expensive oil, possibly as much as $300 a barrel by some forecasters. An attack could come at any time, or even as late as next spring. But Israel's doing its best to try to get some support and have something done, but it just doesn't seem like the world in general is interested. Because the reality is we put up with the Arabs, and they've been putting up with the Arabs for as long as they have, for mainly 2 reasons. One, and first and foremost, is the oil. Especially Europe depends a lot on Middle East oil, and it really hurts them when gas prices go up and their supplies get cut off. And of course, second being the terrorist threat of Islam, and they don't They don't want any more of it than what they may already have. So they don't care if they sort of turn their back on somebody that they more than likely would be allied with, if not without those two conditions being put on them. Also, coming up with recent news, we've had votes on this new health bill, reforming healthcare. Um, they're still going forward with this plan that's massively unpopular. Not that healthcare doesn't need some sort of reforming, but they've pretty much picked the worst possible plan. They've picked the plan that the government gets control over your healthcare, and in effect gets control over you to a greater extent than in the past. Um, the fact that that they're trying to hide what they're doing, and they're going to try to push things into committee, and once it's voted on, and then they'll pick and choose what elements go into it that they want, and probably the ones that have been unpopular. Which makes you wonder why they're doing this. If our elected officials are here to do our will, why is it that they are trying to push something that a lot of people don't want or are very uncomfortable with? Probably because it has something to do with their future plans. Little by little, you nibble away at people's freedoms, and that's what they're doing. If they take away where doctors, have to go through them to work on people, then they have more control. They have yet one more piece of control in your life, and the government should be trying to get out of our lives, not into our lives. And so we'll see where that goes. If the public option and anything else gets slipped in there, we'll see where that goes. But it would be hard to repeal it, at least until Obama's gone from office, and that won't be for another almost 4 years or 8. So hopefully it gets stopped now.
The devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. I also saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared like a bride adorned for her husband. Then I heard a loud voice from the throne. Look, God's dwelling is with men, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them, and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will exist no longer. Grief, crime, and pain will exist no longer, because the previous things have passed away.
The Revelation 13 podcast is hosted by Mike Hopwood and is a podcast dedicated to the study of end-time events, news events, and ancient mysteries.